Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a rainy Wednesday, May 8th, where we are getting just torrential downpours here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area of the great state of Texas. I am your host and narrator, Chris Wilson, of the Grassroots Healing Podcast channel. Now, today we're going to be talking about a book called Atomic Habits. A good friend of mine, Justin, actually recommended this book that I read, and so far from what I've been listening to of this book, it's been incredible. And I wanted to give you a short summary of this book, and I will leave a link down in the description to where you can pick this book up and start applying it to your daily life today. In the meantime, let's begin. So what's in it for me? Learn how small habits can have a big impact on your life. How many habits do you have? You might need a minute to think about that question, because habits are, by definition, behaviors that we perform automatically with little or no thought. From making a cup of coffee when we get up in the morning to brushing our teeth before bed at night, our habits subtly guide our daily lives. As a result, you may not realize how much power there is in habits. And if repeated every day, even the smallest actions, from saving $1 to smoking a single cigarette, can accumulate force and have a huge effect. So understanding and embracing habits is a great way to take control of your life and achieve more. Over the course of your life, or these next couple of minutes, as I introduce you to this summary, you'll learn precisely what habits are, how they are formed, and how you can harness them to change your life for the better. In the upcoming minutes, you're going to learn why modern life makes our brain's natural wiring somewhat inconvenient, how the theory of a cat in a box advanced scientific understanding of habit formation, and what a nice new soap in a Pakistani neighborhood can tell us about building habits that stick. Let's get into it. Small habits can have a surprisingly powerful impact on your life. Imagine a plane taking off from Los Angeles en route to New York. If during takeoff the pilot decided to adjust course 3.5 degrees to the south, the plane's nose would move just a few feet. And outside of the cockpit, no one on board would notice the small movement. But over the course of a journey across the country, the impact of the change would be considerable, and the confused passengers would alight from their plane in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. We don't notice tiny changes because their immediate impact is negligible. If you are out of shape today and go for a 20-minute jog, you'll still be out of shape tomorrow. Conversely, if you eat a family-sized pizza for dinner, it won't make you overweight overnight. But if we repeat small behaviors day after day, our choices compound into major results. Eat pizza every day and it's likely you will have gained considerable weight after a year. Go jogging for 20 minutes every day and you'll eventually be leaner and fitter, even though you won't have noticed the change happening. If you want to make a positive change in your life, you should recognize that change requires patience as well as confidence that your habits are keeping you on the right trajectory, even if you aren't seeing immediate results. So if you find that your behaviors and habits don't seem to be paying off, try to focus on your current trajectory rather than your current results. If you have little money in the bank, but you are saving something each month, then you can be confident that your trajectory is right. Your current results might not be great, but keep going in this direction, and in a few months or a few years, you will notice a major improvement. By contrast, a millionaire who outspends his earnings each month may not be worried about his bank statements from one month to the next, but in the end, his trajectory will catch up with him. The key to making big changes in your life doesn't have to involve major upheaval. You don't need to revolutionize your behavior or reinvent yourself. Rather, you can make tiny changes to your behavior, which, when repeated time and time again, will become habits that may lead to big results. Habits are automated behaviors that we've learned from experience. When you walk into a dark room, you don't think about what you do next. You instinctively reach for a light switch. It's a habit. a behavior that you've repeated so many times that it now happens automatically. So how are habits formed? Well, our brain figures out how to respond to new situations through a process of trial and error. 19th century psychologist Edward Thorndike famously demonstrated this with an experiment where cats were placed in a black box. Unsurprisingly, each cat immediately tried to escape from the box, sniffing at its corners and clawing at its walls. Eventually, the cat would find a lever that, when pressed, would open a door, enabling escape. Thorndike then took the cats that successfully escaped and repeated the experiment. His findings? Well, after being put in a box a few times, each cat learned the trick. Rather than scrambling around for a minute or more, the cats went straight for the lever. After 20 or 30 attempts, the average cat could escape in just 6 seconds. In other words, the process of getting out of the box had become habitual. Thorndike had discovered that behaviors that give satisfying consequences, in this case gaining freedom, tend to be repeated until they become automatic. Like cats in the 19th century, we also stumble across satisfying solutions to life's difficulties and predicaments. And thankfully, we now understand a little more about how habits work. Habits begin with a cue, or a trigger to act. Walking into a dark room cues you to perform an action that will enable sight. Next comes a craving for a change in state, in this case, to be able to see. Then comes our response, or action, flicking the light switch. The final step in the process and the end goal of every habit is the reward. Here, it's the feeling of mild relief and comfort that comes from being able to see your surroundings. Every habit is a subject to the same process. Do you habitually drink coffee every morning? Waking up is your cue, triggering a craving to feel alert. Your response is to drag yourself out of bed and make a cup of joe. Your reward is feeling alert and ready to face the world. But, of course, not all habits are good for us. Now that we understand how habits work, let's look at building positive ones that improve our lives. Building new habits requires hard-to-miss cues and a plan of action. All of us have cues that trigger certain habits. The buzz of your phone, for example, is a cue to check your messages. And once you understand that certain stimuli can prompt habitual behavior, you can use this knowledge to change your habits. How? Well, one way is to change your surroundings and general environment to encourage better habits. Just take the work of Boston-based Dr. Anne Thorndike. She wanted to improve her patients' dietary habits without requiring them to make a conscious decision. How did she pull this off? She had the hospital cafeteria rearranged. Originally, the refrigerators next to the cash registers contained only soda. Thorndike introduced water, not only there, but at every other drink station. Over 3 months, soda sales dropped by 11%, while water sales shot up by 25%. People were making healthier choices just because the cue to drink water rather than soda was more prominent. So simple changes to our environment can make a big difference. We want to practice guitar? Leave the instrument out in the center of the room. Trying to eat healthier snacks? Leave them out on the counter instead of off in the salad drawer. Make your cues as obvious as possible and you'll be more likely to respond to them. A second great way to strengthen cues is to use implementation intentions. Most of us tend to be too vague about our intentions. We say, "I'm going to eat better," and simply hope that we'll follow through. An implementation intention introduces a clear plan of action, setting out when and where you'll carry out the habit you'd like to cultivate, and research shows that it works. A study of voters in the United States found that the citizens who were asked the questions, "At what time will you vote?" and "How will you get to the voting station?" were more likely to actually turn out than those who were just asked if they would vote. So don't just say, "I'll run more often." Say, "On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, when the alarm goes off, the first thing I'll do is don my running gear and clock 2 miles. Then leave your running shoes out where you'll see them. You'll be giving yourself both a clear plan and an obvious cue, and it may surprise you how much easier this will make it to actually build a positive running habit. Humans are motivated by the anticipation of reward, so making habits attractive will help you stick to them. In 1954, neuroscientists James Olds and Peter Milner ran an experiment to test the neurology of desire. Using electrodes, they blocked the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine in rats. To their surprise, the rats simply lost the will to live. They had no desire to eat, drink, reproduce, or do anything else. Mere days later, they all died of thirst. The human brain releases dopamine, a hormone that makes us feel good when we do pleasurable things such as eating or having sex. But we also get a hit of feel-good dopamine when we simply anticipate those pleasurable activities. It's the brain's way of driving us onward and encouraging us to actually do things. So, in the brain's reward system, desiring something is on par with getting something, which goes a long way toward explaining why kids enjoy the anticipation of Christmas so much. It's also why daydreaming about your upcoming hot date is so pleasurable. Or your wife if you're married. Or you could be going on a hot date with your wife. We can also turn this knowledge to our advantage when trying to form habits. If we make a habit something we look forward to, we'll be much more likely to follow through and actually do it. A great technique for this is temptation bundling. That's when you take a behavior that you think of as important but unappealing and link it to a behavior that you're drawn to. One that will generate that motivating dopamine hit. Ronan Byrne, an engineering student in Ireland, knew he should exercise more, but he got little enjoyment from working out. However, he did enjoy watching Netflix. So he hacked an exercise bike, connecting it to his laptop and writing code that would allow Netflix to run if he was cycling at a certain speed. By linking exercise, literally, to a behavior that he was naturally drawn to, he transformed a distasteful activity into a pleasurable one. You don't need to be an engineer to apply this to your life. If you need to work out, but you want to catch up on the latest A-list gossip, you could commit to only reading magazines while at the gym. If you want to watch sports, but you need to make sales calls, promise yourself half an hour of ESPN after you talk to your 10th prospect. Soon enough, you may even find those unattractive tasks enjoyable, since you will be anticipating a pleasing reward while carrying them out. Hey, I hope y'all enjoyed that. That was a summary of Atomic Habits by James Clear. You can go to jamesclear.com/atomic habits and pick up your copy today, or you can go to jamesclear.com and check out what that book is about. It's a New York Times bestseller, New York Times best-selling book, and Atomic Habits. Tiny changes, remarkable results. An easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. This breakthrough book by James Clear is the most comprehensive guide on how to change your habits and get 1% better every day. Mark Manson, #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving. So yeah, go to jamesclear.com, pick up your copy. I'll also have a link down in the description of today's podcast episode to pick up your copy from Amazon. And this book itself, here's 10 things that this book will teach you to learn how to 1. Build a system for getting 1% better every day. 2. Break your bad habits and stick to good ones. 3. Avoid the common mistakes most people make when changing habits. 4. Overcome a lack of motivation and willpower. 5. Develop a stronger identity and believe in yourself. 6. Make time for new habits, even when life gets crazy. 7. Design your environment to make success easier. 8. Make tiny, easy changes that deliver big results. 9. Get back on track when you get off course. And 10. Most importantly, how to put these ideas into practice in your life, and much more. Again, that's Atomic Habits by author James Clear, New York Times best-selling author. Fabulous book. Great recommendation by my friend Justin. Thank you for that. And still listening to it, still enjoying it. A lot of takeaways from this book to implement in my life each day. And if you're thinking about making changes but don't know how, leave a comment with your email down below and I'll reach out to you. I'm a holistic health coach from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Also a nutrition therapist. Attended a Precision Nutrition Health School. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what books that you're interested interested into that you would like to hear. And let me know what you think of this one. Let me know if Atomic Habits is something that you want to learn how to implement in your life today. Leave me a message. We can do a free health history consultation to discover where you are struggling in your life and how we can implement better change and to alleviate stress, how to implement healthy eating, and how to get your life back. Because let's admit it, we live in a modern day society where instant gratification and instant fulfillment are already here. They're no longer quickly on the rise, but they're already here. And if you want to know how to escape the pressures of every day, to be able to take a breath and breathe and enjoy life, reach out to me. I'll help you. I will guide you through the process of how to make everlasting changes to better not only your life, but possibly your company's life, the growth and success of your company, and how to take extreme ownership of your business and of your life so that you too can help others and make an impact. So long for now. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, Grassroots Healing Podcast episode. Stay tuned. Please share and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about it. And hey, thanks for listening. As always, have a healthy day. I'm Chris Wilson, and I'm out.